What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, we're going to discuss Fear the Walking Dead and why it's just not as good as The Walking Dead. And honestly, it's not really that good at all, and it really should be so much better. All right, let's get into it. I'll be looking down. I took some notes, so, I'm trying to iron this out so I get better at talking and reading and all that and memorizing. But just bear with me as I do this the best I can. All right. So first, let me just tell you, I like the idea of Fear the Walking Dead. When it was announced, I was all on board. What? More Walking Dead with new cast, new characters, a different storyline that wasn't based on something I already kind of knew what's going to happen. New setting, new timeline, all of that. I was excited. Then I started hearing the cast. Even more excited. I was ready to go. What was I promised? I was promised The Walking Dead, but on the West Coast, and we were at the start of the zombie apocalypse. All in. Count me in twice. All right. Now, the cast is great. I already said that, but they're not used well. They have great settings and a great idea for where and when it should take place. The West Coast, different than what we're used to seeing. I even like how they went out on the sea and even went down to Mexico. Good stuff there. The hotel, good idea. The whole thing on the boat, love the idea of all of it. The idea of it taking place at the start of the apocalypse when Rick was still in a coma, love it. They didn't really do anything with all of that, though, right? So we got those great settings, and they weren't used effectively or right. Well, I'll get on to that. And then they had great ideas. Like, I like the idea of the group we deal with on the boats. I like the idea of the military being the bad guy, like in season 1. I like the idea of what was going on in Mexico to some extent. I like the idea of the abandoned hotel. None of those were used effectively or properly or in any way that can be considered a good use of your resources and your ideas. This is going to turn into a rant. Just letting you know, I can feel it already. I already feel it bubbling. All right, so let's just get into why it just doesn't work. I want to let you know, I watch the show weekly, and I hope every week that it improves. And it rarely gives me hope. Usually it sucks the hope out of me. Now, do I have hope for season 4 now that Scott Gimple is the showrunner? Absolutely. But it may be too late. The damage may already be done after 3 seasons of not good, only really getting worse. All right, so the way the story unfolds was too fast. They marketed it as something that takes place in the beginning of the apocalypse, and then they skip these large chunks of time throughout the first 2 seasons. They skip large chunks of time. It's not just in season 1. They do it in season 2 also. They skip a majority of the time on the boat, but I'll get to that in a second. So you promised me the start of the apocalypse, but then you're skipping those big chunks. And there was good story to tell in there. That whole encampment that the army had set up, you had perfect storytelling in there for all the different personalities and the feeling of being locked in, that they could have dwelled on that for a couple of episodes. It would have been amazing. But they didn't. The boat, they skipped time on the boat. We could have spent almost the whole season on the boat if they did it right. And it would have been great. In Mexico, they skip chunks of time where it feels like, how long have they been here? How long have they been there? And none of it is ever clear. Now, I understand The Walking Dead has that problem too, with the passage of time never really being clear. But if you pay attention to The Walking Dead, you can make heads or tails. You can kind of start to make sense of the timing. You can't really do that with Fear. It just doesn't work. All right, so that's the first glaring issue with the show right from the onset, right from season 1, was that they were skipping chunks of time that held great story. It didn't make sense to me. It was like they were marketing it as something that took place before The Walking Dead, but then when the show started, they did everything they could to try and catch up to The Walking Dead. It baffled me. All right, now the writing on the show is poor. I'll just say it straight out. The writing is poor. They have good ideas for where they want the story to go, but how everything unfolds and how everything is executed, it's just poor. You're not utilizing these talented actors properly, but giving them bad dialogue. They do things that make no sense for not only their character, but for human beings. They don't make sense. The writing feels like an NBC show where it's just like, all right, it's about the plot, not about the characters. How do we move the plot forward? We just put a bunch of stupid stuff that doesn't really make a lot of sense. All right. Now we have they have interesting plots and all that. Like I said, I like the idea with the military. Didn't use it right. I love the character of Daniel and what he was going to become. They didn't use him right, and they possibly killed him off. I think he'll be back in season 3, but you get what I'm saying. They're not using him right. I love the boat thing. Didn't do it right. The whole the way that the boat people that they came across, the way they were and behaved, I liked it where it was going, and then when it ended, it was like, really? That's it? They should be giving us more action. There's not enough action. Even if you put these little throwaway episodes, like that one family we met that was not right in the head. We met them in season 2. That they lived on the beach. That was a good storyline. I liked that episode a lot. But what happened to those types of storylines? They're few and far between. It doesn't matter if they have not huge bearing on the story. Right now, there is no story for the show, and that's another problem. There is no story. There is no direction. It's just, here's new characters in a zombie apocalypse. They're a dysfunctional family. Okay. Stupid choices. I touched on that. Interesting characters, but poorly written. I like the characters. Not just the actors. I like the characters. When I'm first introduced to Travis and Madison and Nicholas and Alicia, I like them as characters. I wanted to get to know them more. I wanted to see them grow and how are they going to change and who's going to turn into the crazies and who's going to be the heroes. But they just take the wrong turns every time, and they're making interesting, intriguing characters uninteresting and unintriguing. So, they're going in the wrong direction. I'm just telling you. This is all facts, all right? The directing is horrible. That's why they're not getting the best out of these actors. 2 reasons. 3 reasons. Poor showrunner is what it all boils down to. They don't have a good showrunner. I don't want to talk terrible about Erickson. I don't know him, but maybe he's a great showrunner, but he's not fit for this show or this world. He's not fit for The Walking Dead. And that's where all the problems stem from, is your showrunner. Because you have a showrunner that's not fit, you have poor writers or writers that aren't fit for this material or this type of network, and poor directing. So when those 3 things are wrong, you're setting everyone else up for failure. All your terrific actors, all your terrific set designers, and all the people working on the walkers, and all the extras, it's all for naught. Because the people running the show, setting everything up, are setting you up to fail. I really wanted to love this show. Talked about all that. These stupid mistakes. Here's the only one I'm going to mention, but there's a ton. Go back and watch the first 2 seasons. There is a ton of these mistakes that should not be made and would never be made on The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead makes mistakes. And there's times where I'm like, oh man, that was a poor choice. But nothing to the extent of Fear. And Fear does it almost every episode, whereas The Walking Dead does it once every season, once every 2 seasons. Here's my example. Travis goes to get in a car. The door is locked. He breaks the window. And instead of reaching in and unlocking the door, he just opens it. So the door was unlocked the whole time. Why'd you break the window? Mistakes like that should not happen on a show that's this, that this many people watch and that has this kind of budget and that's on this kind of network. These things should never happen. And because it's being allowed to happen, it sullies the name of The Walking Dead. Walking Dead has a hard enough time explaining to people that every episode can't be all action and all zombie killing. Some episodes have to be slow. They get enough crap for that. But now I think they take extra crap because fear is so bad. And I think people hold it against the whole franchise, honestly. Not enough action. There's almost no action in this show. And the action we do have is so quick and over so fast. And we don't see half of it because it's like they wanted to PG-13 it and take all the violence and all the blood and gore out. It's a horror show about zombies. If you are not happy with your 14-year-old watching it, don't let them watch it. There's tons of other things on TV, a million other channels, a million other networks, a million other websites where your 14-year-old can go and watch something that's age appropriate. That's your fault as parents. You shouldn't be holding the rest of us fans hostage because a couple of parents don't do their job right. It's the same problem that's going on with YouTube and the ads and all that. Police your children. Be a parent. I'm going to do a whole separate rant about that. Be a parent. And then us adults, we don't have to deal with this nonsense. And I'm a parent. I police my child. He only watches what I allow him to watch. All right. Anyway, let's move on. All right, so this show had a chance to be different. It had a chance to be similar but different. A great zombie show about the zombie apocalypse, just like Walking Dead, with intriguing, interesting characters, an ensemble cast, a big cast of them. So you had your chance to be the same, and then you had all the things working for you with the network and the popularity and, the makeup design. I'm sure they got a lot of people from Walking Dead over there and all that. And you failed at being different. Because you had all that stuff working for you, and then you had this all these new locations and new settings and new interesting characters. And what did you do with it? Nothing. You made a show that's suitable for NBC, that really has no plot line, and you turned intriguing characters into messes, convoluted messes that make no sense as characters or people anymore. I really hope season 3 steps up the game, and I hope we course correct. I don't think the show is lost and gone. I don't think it's gone so bad and so wrong that it can't be saved. I know that's how I sound from this video. That's not how I feel. I don't think it's beyond saving. But if we don't start to course correct in season 3, I'm worried for season 4. I truly, truly am. I want to love these characters. I want to see these actors grow into these roles. And I want to see them really, really get an interesting story and interesting seasons out of this. And they can. And I guarantee you, if you took me or you took 10 other of the Walking Dead YouTubers and got us in a room, we would write a better season of Fear than who you have in the room right now. And I normally don't make claims like that, and I normally don't say things like that. It's not my job. I'm not the professional. The writers are. Who am I to talk? But I've been watching TV, movies a long time, and I know good and bad. And that's why everything I watch is pretty much highly acclaimed and, well respected. I don't really make bad decisions when it comes to TV because I'm that picky. All right, that's it for this. I just wanted to get my feelings out there because Fear is coming out. I rewatched the seasons, season 1 and 2, hoping to like them more. And honestly, I like them less. I have even more problems with them at this point. So, unfortunately, we got to do what we got to do and hope that it works out. Luckily for us, there's no writer's strike, so it doesn't look like that's going to affect it. Because, hey, maybe it would have affected it in a positive way, right? Who knows? But, all right, that's it for this one. Sound off down below. Let me know what you think about Fear. Whether you like it, you don't like it, you think I'm right, you think I'm wrong. Well, how do you like it compared to Walking Dead? Sound off down below. I definitely want to hear all of your thoughts and opinions regarding this subject. Yep, that's it for this one. You guys have a great day. Thanks again for watching. Always appreciated. And, yep, I'll see you next time.